Good evening. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to another edition of Sportslines Plus. Tonight, we'll be doing a post-mortem on the Yankees and the World Series between the Yankees and the Dodgers. We will also be talking about the Mets and the Yankees in the offseason, the players going into free agency, and who Steve and I might feel both teams need and might get in the free agent market. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And the internet address is youtube.com /Sportslines Plus. youtube.com /Sportslines Plus. The Los Angeles Dodgers won their 8th World Series 4-1 on October 30th, beating the Yankees 7-6 after some horrible fielding lapses by the Yankees, which led to LA scoring 5 runs in the 5th inning. Freddie Freeman was the MVP of the series.
As he should have been. And we all know Freddie Freeman as Met fans. He is really Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
He destroys the Mets. He did the same thing to the Yankees. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a tremendous player. But I will tell you, with the Yankee game, that last game that they played the Dodgers exposed all the weaknesses the Yankees had.
Yes, yeah.
The Yankees, listen, they won, I believe, 94 games. They are a very
94
good team.
games, yes, they are.
But the Dodgers have the ability to dig deeper into who the Yankees are.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, they did that. The Dodgers did that to a lot of teams.
They did, but they may have done the worst damage to the Yankees of all.
Yeah,
because if you remember, Garrett Cole was pitching a superb game.
Oh, yes. He was really pitching up to – I mean, everything was going great. They were leading 5-0.
Yep.
Yeah. They were leading 5-0. He had a good game going.
Yeah. He pitched like the $36 million man that he is.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched great for 4 innings going into the 5th, and then everything started to collapse. First, Aaron Judge, who had made no errors at all in center field all year long, made his first error in the postseason on an easy, I should say, wasn't easy, but it was a line drive right at his glove, and he dropped it. That was the beginning of the problems.
Oh, Lord.
Then the shortstop, Anthony Volpe, when a runner was trying to get to third base, he made a terrible throw, bounced it in the dirt, and almost got by the third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course, the one where Garrett Cole forgets to run to the bag.
The most egregious error of the inning was when Garrett Cole refused to get off the mound on a ground ball that was hit by Mookie Betts. Anthony Rizzo got to the ball.
Yeah.
It was a slowly hit ball with funny English.
Yes.
And Garrett Cole was pointing to Anthony Rizzo like he was his servant. Excuse me. Major league pitchers, when the ball is hit to the first baseman, the first thing you learn is get off the mound and try to get to the bag.
Yeah.
Now, he probably wasn't going to beat Betts, but at least he could have said, throw me the ball, let me try to tag him as he's going by.
Yeah.
He stood there and pointed at Rizzo. I would have been infuriated if I'm Anthony Rizzo.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's not my job. Your job is to get to the bag, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that whole inning went down the drain from there.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie Freeman, the Freddy Krueger name, drove in the first 2 runs. It was 5-3 before they knew it. And then the whole thing started falling apart.
Yeah.
As only the Dodgers can do it. They actually tied the game in the 5th inning after they couldn't touch Garrett Cole for the first 4 innings.
Yeah.
So what I learned about this series, and I'll say this as a Met fan, people think the Mets were the easier opponent. They weren't.
No
the
way.
Mets were the tougher opponent of New York compared to the Yankees. We beat that team. We went 6 games with them. And we beat them twice. The Yankees only beat them once.
Yeah.
So you could ask yourself, who's the better team in New York? And right now, I'm sorry, Yankee fans, it's METS, because we battled them, we played them tough, we scored runs on them, and we didn't have the greatest bullpen in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But we battled them better than every other team that faced them in the playoffs.
Yes.
So the Yankees, with their 94 wins with Stanton and Judge and Rizzo, they didn't do a damn thing. The only one who hit for them was Stanton. Judge was invisible most of the series. He had 1 home run, struck out a ton of times, Volpe gave them a little fire that one game they had where he hit the grand slam. But outside of those players, they were pretty much a dead team.
I mean, they had a chance. They probably might have gotten. I mean, game 1 and game 5 were probably 2 games they could have won.
They could have won. Yes, I agree. Game 5 especially.
Game 5, they should have won that game.
I honestly was expecting the Yankees to go back to LA.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I thought the series is going to go 6 games with LA winning, but I didn't expect the Dodgers to take them out the way they did.
I know.
It was an embarrassment.
The Yankees really beat themselves.
Yes, but that's what teams like the Dodgers do. They find ways to get to you.
Right.
And I'll say this as a Met fan, they had the Yankees the easiest path to get to the World Series in years. You can't tell me that the Kansas City Royals and the Cleveland Guardians are tougher than what the Mets had to face.
No.
The New York Mets, we had to go to Atlanta just to get in.
Yeah.
Then we had to beat Milwaukee on the road. Then we had to beat Philadelphia, and they said we were going to get
won the division.
Right. And they told us we were going to get swept by the Phillies. The Mets almost swept them.
Yeah.
And then I said they're going to probably lose to the Dodgers. I had said to you, 6 games, but the Mets battled them and gave them a really good battle for those 6 games.
Oh, yeah.
So I have come out of this now saying the New York Mets are going to be the better team in this town. And I'm sure Yankee fans don't want me to say that, but I think we've now seen the proof.
Yeah. Anyway, which leads us to the free agent market. Of course, the most sought-after player is Juan Soto coming off the World Series.
Wow.
He's a free agent, and he's looking for a huge jackpot.
Huge is right.
The Mets are aggressively suing him. However, the Yankees are also expected to go hard and bring him back. I know Hank Steinbrenner is, he's meeting with Hank Steinbrenner for the, to hang on to it. Hal Steinbrenner, excuse me, Hal Steinbrenner, to get, to try to sign him back, keep him, I should say.
Well, first of all, we know that Juan Soto is going to get probably at least $600 million. And I think it's going to be more like $700 million.
Yeah.
Because with the Yankees and the Mets pursuing him, that price is going to go up. And I would not count out the Toronto Blue Jays, and you might laugh when I say that. If people forget, Shohei Ohtani was this close to signing with the Blue Jays because they put up the money.
That's a surprise.
And the other team to watch for might be the Giants, because the Giants have failed in the past to get Judge, to get Correa. Now the question is, do they want to go all out for Soto, or would they rather go for, let's hope Met fans it doesn't happen, Pete Alonso? But the point is, one of these 3 or 4 teams are the only teams that can probably afford this guy.
Yeah.
But we have to remember he's 26 years old, and he might be the best hitter of the group of players that are out there.
Yeah.
So the New York Mets really need somebody like this in their lineup to really steady this lineup, to give them a scary lineup, which frankly they're going to need if they play the Dodgers or some other really good team again.
Yeah.
But I like their chances because Steve Cohen is an owner that definitely puts his money where his mouth is. He's going to spend the money for this guy. And the question now is, what does he want to leave the Yankees and come to the Mets? That's the only question. The money is going to be there.
Yeah.
And I hope the Mets are fortunate to get him. But if the Yankees do get him, they're going to have to spend a little bit more than they planned on.
Yeah. The Mets have several players who are free agents, including Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, and more probably Pete Alonso.
Yes.
Of course, Manaea and Alonso have rejected a $21.05 million qualifying offer extended by the Mets. Severino might consider, which leads to this. Do you think the Mets will re-sign Pete? I think they should.
I think they should. I mean, whether they get Soto or not, I think what Pete Alonso has proven to all of us, as we know, is that there are very few players that are as consistent hitting for power as Pete Alonso. This man has hit at least 35 home runs the last 5 years for the Mets.
Yeah.
I can't name you another first baseman who's close to that. Maybe Christian Walker, but he's 34 years old.
Yeah.
Alonso is 31. He is just approaching his prime now.
Yeah.
I think the Mets would be wise to keep him. They may have to figure out some way to get both of them. Maybe they can get Soto to take a partially deferred plan.
Yeah.
If the Mets can do that, then I think they have a legitimate chance of signing them both.
Mhm.
But the problem the Mets have is they probably want another starting pitcher. That's because our ace 2 years ago, Kodai Senga, was pretty much gone last year with injury. He only pitched in, I believe, 5 or 6 innings this year.
Yeah, in the postseason.
Now we've been hearing names like
Corbin Burns, and that's what I was gonna get at. In addition to Juan Soto, the Mets are trying to pursue Corbin Burns.
Yes, but there are also some very interesting names on that list, including Walker Buehler, the man who saved Game 5 against the Yankees. Now, he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries, but that guy is a pure guts pitcher. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but he's developed a better knuckle curve, a better slider, a better cutter, and a better changeup. And he is still an ace when he's pitching. So now, if you're the Mets, you've got to think very carefully who you get. Because you can go after Corbin Burns. He'll cost you the most money. You can go after Walker Buehler. You can try to sign Manaea back, which I think would be another option for the Mets to consider. But he is going to ask for a lot of money, and he has a right to. Because since he changed his delivery and throws more like Chris Sale, his market value is skyrocketing up through the roof. So the Mets will probably have to overpay for him. But I think this is going to be a very fun offseason for the Mets. The Yankees are going to have some fun too in this.
You mentioned the Mets might have. You mentioned we were talking on the phone last night, and you mentioned a pitcher from the White Sox. They might.
Yes. This is a pitcher the Mets might get. It may save them a little money where they might be able to get Pete Alonso and Soto back. Garrett Crochet. This pitcher, 26-year-old left-hander who throws close to 100 miles an hour. I'm not lying when I tell you that. I saw him last year. I'm sure a lot of Met fans did. When we faced the White Sox, I remember this game, Sunday afternoon in Chicago. He struck out 8 or 9 of their hitters in less than 4 innings.
Woo.
This guy is a stud ace. And the White Sox are an awful baseball team, and they are looking to get him off their team so they can get prospects and players back, which they really need.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard that there's a possibility they would even include Ronald Acuña's brother in a deal to the White Sox.
Whoa.
And throw in 2 or 3 other players to get Crochet. This is a 26-year-old superstar pitcher, period. So if I'm the Mets, I might do this because I can sign this guy for maybe 6-7 years, and he'll cost me less than Corbin Burns.
Wow.
And he'll probably cost me less than Walker Buehler, but his stature as a pitcher is right at the top. Wow. He's the number 1 pitcher in strikeouts, better than Blake Snell this year.
Whoa.
And Blake Snell strikes out a lot of hitters. This guy struck out 209 hitters in 144 innings.
Talk about under the radar.
Very much under the radar and a really great pitcher. So if I'm the Mets, I've got a lot of thinking to do now. I've got to look at maybe getting Garrett Crochet to save money to get Soto. And if they want Alonso back, they might be able to do it that way.
Yeah. The
Mets still need some relief pitching. I don't know where they're going to get it, but I think one name I'd love to see is the guy who played for San Diego last year, Tanner Scott.
Tanner Scott.
Great left-handed pitcher who throws close to 100, almost like Crochet, with a really wicked slider. And the Mets could use somebody like that to back up Diaz, because that's where the Mets are the weakest. But they have a lot of work to do, and the Yankees do too. The Yankees are talking about getting Carlos Estevez from the Phillies. Yes, I know Met fans. I know Lindor hit a grand slam off this guy, but I'm telling you, he throws close to 100. He's got the stuff, and he might be somebody the Yankees really want.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, we were talking about, I was getting to it. I know Garrett Cole, he re-opted.
Yeah, he stayed with
the Yankees.
Yes, they're very lucky.
And they declined Anthony Rizzo's 2025 club option. Other prominent Yankee free agents are Anthony Verdugo and Gleyber Torres. Do you think those 2 will be back? Those latter 2?
There's a possibility Verdugo might be. Because Verdugo does play pretty good defense, and he was a better player in the postseason than he was the regular season. I'm sorry to tell the Yankee fans, this is the end of Gleyber Torres' run. If you didn't like him, now you get your chance to say adios. He is a really good offensive player. He performed well in the playoffs. He helped them out in a couple of those games. But his defense leaves a lot to be desired. And if I'm the Yankees, I have to let him go. I have to look at getting another second baseman who plays better defense. This is how the Yankees lost the World Series.
Yeah.
Their lack of the offense, poor defense, and poor decision-making on the field. So he has to go. But Verdugo might stick around, especially if Soto is gone.
Right. We mentioned, of course, Soto, and you mentioned the other players that the Yankees might consider. Are there other players that?
Yeah, there are some other players. I mean,
besides, of course, Soto and Alonso.
Well, Pete Alonso is definitely somebody the Yankees are looking at now, especially with Rizzo gone. There are some options they have to consider. They need relief pitching, the Yankees. They probably need a couple of them, as do the Mets.
Yeah.
And
relief pitchers always, middle inning pitchers particularly, are always on demand with teams. Always. They always seem to be 7th, 8th inning pitchers.
Because they're unpredictable. Bullpens are the most unpredictable part of a baseball team.
Yeah.
And living proof, the Tampa Bay Rays. Every year they change their bullpen around, but they still find a way to be successful. And that's something the Mets and the Yankees have to really look at.
Yeah.
Can we develop a good enough bullpen to compete? The Mets may have an edge in the starting rotation over the Yankees, but I'm pretty sure both of them are going to look for relief pitching as well as some offense in their lineups.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing I'll say about the Yankees, since they're keeping Aaron Boone, what they need to consider is to get some coaches to teach them how to play fundamental baseball.
Yeah.
Because the Yankees need a lot of help doing that.
I was thinking about, with Aaron Boone, should they fire? But Aaron Boone didn't drop that ball.
No.
Aaron Boone didn't make those mental mistakes.
That's right.
Aaron Boone didn't cover the bag.
No.
So it's not totally his fault.
I mean, Aaron Boone, to me, is a guy, in my opinion, who never should have been the Yankee coach. He wasn't trained.
Yankee manager,
excuse me. He wasn't trained to do it. He wasn't a minor league manager of any type.
And I was surprised when he was even appointed manager. He was just
thrown into the job. Now he's done a decent job. He's certainly won enough games. He has a .584 winning percentage. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But he's not the next coming of Joe Torre, and he's certainly not Carlos Mendoza. That's somebody the Yankees.
And he's certainly not Joe McCarthy.
No.
Or Casey Stengel.
So if I'm the Yankees, before the season starts, I go and change that coaching staff.
Oh, yeah.
I bring in some guys who are tough-minded and teach them how to play fundamentally sound baseball. That's something the Mets do pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm very interested to see what the Mets do because I think they will have a lot of money at their disposal, and I think Cohen is going for it this year. And we have a farm system, by the way. I know I'm talking about the Mets to death. I'm a huge Met fan. But if you look at the Met farm system, you can see why I'm optimistic about this team. They've got some players, not only pitchers, but position players that are ready to come up this year. So look out for the New York Mets. They might be the team challenging the Dodgers or anybody else this year.
Okay, going from baseball to football, the 3-6 Jets are traveling to Arizona to play the 5-4 Cardinals tomorrow. They're coming off a 21-13 win over the Houston Texans last Sunday at the Meadowlands, October 31st on Thursday Night Football. Now, Steve,
yes,
break down tomorrow's game.
Well, it's a toss-up, to be honest with you, because the Jets are at the point of desperation now. They have to win the next 7 games to make the postseason. They probably can only afford 1 loss in that stretch. However, the fact of the matter is, yes, they did beat Houston. Yes, we know that Stephon Diggs is out for the year with a torn ACL. That's an awful injury for any player. But let's give the Jets credit. They played well.
They did.
8 sacks of C.J. Stroud, and he's very hard to contain. They played very well. Aaron Rodgers probably had his best game last week.
Yeah.
Now we've got another running quarterback in Kyler Murray, who could have been a second baseman, by the way, for the Oakland A's. That's how athletic he is. They have a phenomenal wide receiver who's the son of Marvin Harrison, and he looks very good so far this year. So now we have to ask ourselves, what we see last week from the Jets, was that a mirage, or can they really play defense well enough to beat this team? And the Cardinals are a very up and down team. 5-4 tells you all you need to know. There are days where they are invincible, they can outscore anybody. And then there are days where they look totally awful. So let's hope the Jets show up for this game. And let's hope they play hard. I'm at a point as a Jet fan, I don't believe they're going to run the table. But miracles do happen. The Giants one year did this. I believe they were 1-3 or 1-4, and their coach, Jim Fossil, was asked by the media, how are you going to win more games? He went right to the podium and said to them, we are going to run the table. They won 7 straight games in a row, and they got to the Super Bowl, of all things. They got trounced by the Baltimore Ravens, but the fact of the matter is it can be done. I don't know if the Jets have it in their blood to do it, but we're going to find out tomorrow.
Well, the Jets coach is definitely not Jim Fossil.
No, he's not. But we'll see. Jeff Ulbrich finally won his first game last week. He looks like he has some pizzazz, some energy in him, and he's not going to give you the same lame answers that Robert Saleh would give the media. It looks like he wants to really win. Now, can the players match his enthusiasm Sunday and do it? I really don't think that's going to happen, but
we'll see.
We never know with the Jets. It's possible.
I will see. Meanwhile, the 2-7 Giants travel across the pond to Berlin, Germany, to play the 2-7 Carolina Panthers. Something's got to give here.
Yes.
Steve, what do you think?
It's another toss-up game, only this time it's the Giants. The Panthers, if it's hard to believe, have actually been worse than the Giants. They had won one game up until last week. However, what they do have is a better quarterback than what the Giants have. They have replaced Bryce Young, who was the number 1 pick in the draft last year.
Number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick. He looked terrible. Jeez. They took him out of that spot. Andy Dalton, you may remember that.
Yes, I remember the name. Yes.
Dallas. He is now the starting quarterback. He got his first win for them last week. So the Giants, we know who their quarterback is, and it's the awful Daniel Jones. But can they run the ball well enough to win that game? And can they defend? Andy Dalton is not a quick runner. He's not a fast guy like Bryce Young is. So they have a chance. But let's see if they can win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. It's two teams that are really bad, both 2-7, no playoffs for either one. So I'm going to flip a coin and say, let's hope the Giants win.
Yeah. And on that note, for Steve Ferguson, I'm Pedro Hazel Jr. saying thanks for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And the internet address is youtube.com @Sportslines Plus. youtube.com @Sportslines Plus, one word. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good luck, Jets. Good luck, Giants. Pretty good show.